Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Furlong, I am your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Hope you're doing well today, hope you are having a wonderful end of the year. Today is episode 93, and we're actually wrapping up 2022. So it is the last episode for the year. We're going to take a week or so off, and then we'll be back here having the conversation again in 2023. But today, really what I want to focus on, and it's just one of reflection, really. I want to reflect on the year with you, and I also want to have a meaningful conversation about, wrapping up the year and finishing strong, preparing our minds for the new year, and of course, getting ready to rock and roll. And what I mean by that is going into the new year ready to, do your best and do what you can do to make it your best year yet. Now, so quickly to recap, look, this year has been a bit of a roller coaster for many people. We did come out of the peak of COVID and we finally got back to something of a bit of a norm, but there's been so much happening in the world and so much in our local areas, at home in Australia, but also just in the world, and so many things that can distract us and so many things that can overwhelm us. We've had many things, and I know I'm speaking from my own experience, but I'm sure for many other people listening that, things happening close to home, personally, with families, friends, and loved ones. It's been a year of, it's been a better year than I think for the last couple of years, but there is still so much that can distract us, as I said, that pulls us away from where we want to be or being our true and best selves. So to quickly reflect on actually what we've actually gone through this year, if you're only just joining for the first time, episode 93, we've touched on quite a few different things, but to summarize it, I guess we've talked about the importance of setting clear and specific goals, and I guess developing a plan to achieve them. We've gone through that journey, and at the start of the year, we did discuss this quite intentionally, obviously being at the start of the year. But, we've revisited a few times and helping yourself level up and get ahead, and also how to manage when things aren't necessarily going as planned. We've also touched on and emphasized around the value of taking consistent action, even when faced with the challenges or setbacks. Now, myself personally, I did unfortunately catch COVID this year, and that threw me in a bit of a roller coaster of things that I did not expect. It meant I had to take a 10-12 week break from running, and look, I just did not expect it. And this is the reality of life. Sometimes things come at us out of left field and when we least expect it. Yet, we still have the opportunity to continue to pursue forward. And we spoke about that quite a few times, of how you can continue to move forward and how you can take opportunity when it knocks at you, and understanding that sometimes just because you're not going the way you expected doesn't mean you're not going where you want to be. Additionally, we've also discussed the importance of building, a strong support network, or building strong relationships and surrounding yourself with people that, can help you and help you stay motivated and help you stay accountable. Now, accountability is king. It really does help you. The same way I would like to think that cash flow is king in a business. If you can find someone that can keep you accountable in a friendly and healthy and respectful way, you'll be surprised of what you can do. It's even better if you can do it yourself, but I think by having the support and also the encouragement, but the accountability from someone else checking on you, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, to keep you moving and grooving, there's nothing like that. We are naturally born to just want to pursue and to do and to show that we can do. That's in our instincts, right? And it comes natural to us. And having someone that can be that bouncing board to keep us accountable, it is quite surprising of what you can do with it. Let me know in the comments if that's been you and you've been able to experience quite a level of growth by having an accountability partner. So these are just some of the highlights, and I guess if we were to condense down the themes across the year, that's essentially what we've been talking about. But the next thing that I wanted to kind of mention was finishing a year can be very, very overwhelming. We can fall into the big hole of thinking or overthinking that the year was what we did do and what we didn't do. And I know I'm a victim of this. I'll be honest. It can be very overwhelming when you look back and you think, oh, I haven't done this, or I expected to do that, or I wanted to achieve this. And we can feel guilty by it. We can feel annoyed and we can feel very, very frustrated. Of course, at the same time, we also have the mixed feelings around the excitement and the joy and the feelings of accomplishment, because look back and reflect on all the things that we have achieved, all the amazing things that you have been able to do. And you should take a moment and reflect on that. We're going to talk about that shortly. It can be a big roller coaster of emotions in a short amount of time. As we lead up to the end of the year, at the time of this episode coming out, we're basically a week out from Christmas and, basically a week out to the New Year. So after that, so 2 weeks out from the New Year. So it's quite a lot to take in after Christmas, and after you've had that little bit of downtime. All of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, it's a new year, and you start to think, what do you want to do better? Or maybe it becomes too overwhelming, so you ignore it and you try and bury those insights, and it just takes a lot on the mind. So with that in mind, I want to help you finish this year strong and with a strong mindset. And I'm going to go through a couple of points here that you can, and I've written them down so I can make sure you understand them a bit better, and that I'm not fluffy when talking about them. But essentially, it's just to help you, think about and reflect on the year, but also start to think, in the right way, looking forward into the new year. And you can come back and revisit this any year. It doesn't have to be for 2022, going into 2023. You can do this for any year when you're finishing and going into a new year. So number one is, it's okay to not have achieved everything, right? And I know this myself. I haven't achieved everything that I set out to do, but it's okay to not have achieved everything that you set out to do this year. And I think sometimes our plans don't always work out the way they want them to be, right? And that's okay. You need to be okay with it. You need to understand that it is okay. I guarantee you that everyone did not complete everything they expected to complete. But what's important to take away from it is that you learned from these experiences, and that you learned from any of these challenges or setbacks that you faced, and you used them as opportunities for growth and development. And that's really what you want to be doing in the next couple of weeks, is taking a moment to reflect on those areas of, what did happen, what didn't happen. And it's okay if things didn't happen the way you expected, because right there is a learning example. You can reflect in a positive way and understand, okay, this didn't work out. Was it out of my control? Okay, no harm done. Was it something that we didn't do? And how can you take them as an opportunity to grow, develop, and become a better person or a better version of yourself? The next one was around how every year has its ups and downs. Now, I love to say roller coaster. I've probably said that about 6 times already in this episode. And it's important to also remember that, that's the reality of it. But even when things don't go as planned, there are still so many more things that we can be grateful for. And I think a lot of the times we focus on the negative things. I know this has been a big thing when it comes to social media or YouTube. We might have, 99 positive comments or positive encouragement or positive, input from a community. You get one negative or someone bringing you down, and it just throws you completely off. And we tend to get so focused on that. And we need to remove ourselves from that and start to just think about all the things that have worked out, and be grateful for all those things. So take a moment right now to reflect on the good things that have happened this year. If you need to pause it, take a moment, and also give yourself some credit for the progress that you've made. Reflect back, as I was saying before, we're going to chat about it now, and this is your chance, this is your opportunity to reflect back on the progress that you've made, no matter how small it may seem, right? Because a win is a win. It's your win. You're not really necessarily competing against anyone but yourself. So you should be proud, whether it's 1% growth this year or 100% growth this year, or no matter what it is, you've moved forward, you've conquered the year. Give yourself a pat on the back and reflect in this moment, and take a moment to be grateful. The next one is, it's important to be kind to yourself and to not beat yourself up over any mistakes or failures that you might have had or experienced this year. Now, I don't like to think as you making a mistake or not getting what you want is a failure, because again, we said before that you had the opportunity to learn from these. There's an opportunity to take this and to grow and to develop from that. You also need to remember that everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect, and it's how we then, and I said it before, it's how we then learn from those mistakes and how we move forward with them. That's really what matters. You can hold on to something, or you can let it help you become a better version of yourself. So, but I want to be very clear with this. You need to be very gentle with yourself when it comes to this, and you need to focus on the positive aspects of your year. There's always going to be negatives. There's always going to be things that will make you cringe, or always going to be things that make you think, why did I do this? Maybe some regrets. But focus on the positive aspects. Focus on the things that maybe made you take a different turn, but it had a silver lining. For me, when I had COVID, I thought, this is it. I'm not going to be able to do running. It's not going to work out in my favor. And I had to cancel a few things. But the silver lining was I was able to slow down. I was able to look at how I could continue to do what I needed to do in an easier way. And it enabled me to gain a lot of time back, because I had to prioritize a lot of my time that I had to rest because I had fatigue. So there was a huge silver lining there. And, that's, once again, a lesson and learning from this year. So as you reflect on this year, I think the other thing that I wanted to bring up was remember that it's not about being perfect, right? We've kind of been touching on this the whole episode, but it's not about being perfect or achieving every single goal that you set for yourself. Instead, you need to focus on the progress you have made and the challenges that you have overcome, and also the lessons that you've learned along the way. As you can hear and understand, that there's a lot of the same things that I'm saying here. These are all things that I guess, that truly, really matter, because at the end of the day, it's about you and your journey and your progress. It's not about anyone else's progress, and it's not about their timeline or their journey or how well they're doing. I know it can be overwhelming to see other people maybe doing better than you, but again, we don't have the full picture. You've got the full picture of your entire life. You know what you've had to go through. You know what you've had to, face, and you also know what you should have done and didn't do. So at the same time, there's some lessons to be learned there. And finally, I think it's really important to remember that every year is a new opportunity, and it is a chance for us, to start fresh. It's a chance to set new goals for yourself, or to set a new baseline to move forward and to level up and become a better version of yourself. But the key thing here is you need to take your reflections from this year and identify, I guess, areas or gaps of where you can improve. If you're not going to take the learnings from this year and do anything about them, if you don't do anything about them, then nothing's going to change. You need to take what you can and make some positive changes in the year ahead. That's on you. I can't make you do it. I can keep you accountable in doing it. I can tell you about doing it. I can encourage you to do it, but it really comes down to you. You have the power to make that difference in your own life. No one else does. And you need to do it with some hard work and some determination. It will be hard at first, but it gets easier. It snowballs. And we've spoken about the snowball effect in a few episodes this year as well. But you can really achieve anything that you set your mind to. And I'm speaking to myself just as much as I'm speaking to you. It starts with just one step at a time. And as cliched as it is, that is the reality of it. So this is a great segue looking into the new year. I also wanted to just dive into the next point around, offering you some additional insights, or, for you as a listener, or if you're watching this on the YouTube, for maybe if you are thinking about setting some goals, or, planning into the future or into the new year, let's dive into that a little bit. And I've got a couple of little tips here and a few points that I jotted down earlier when I was planning this episode. And I think the one key tip is to start with a vision for what you want to accomplish in the year. Take away the goals, and don't think about whether it's dollars or fitness or, challenges and things like that. Start about a vision. Where do you want to be at the end of the year? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to feel like you're living every day from a year from now? And once you understand what that is and what that looks like and what you want to accomplish, you can then reverse engineer it. You can break it down into some smaller and more manageable goals, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, or just what you would like to be able to do. But now you've got the big picture. How does that big picture look like over 52 weeks or over 365 days? The next point I'll further make is also focus on what you want, not what your peers want, not what anyone else expects of you or what the world expects of you. Focus on what you want and what you expect of yourself. You get to make that decision. You have the choice to make that decision. So make sure that's really what's the bloodline of these goals or ambitions. But I think with that, we have to keep ourselves honest, is we need to remember to be realistic, and we have to be patient as well. And don't be afraid to ask for help or advice when you need it, because too many times we tend to think, I can do this. I've got this all covered. And a lot of the time we can. We're more than capable, but there is nothing wrong with asking for help. And as I said before, I've had some huge struggles this year, to the point where I missed out on a lot of my goals and targets that I thought I would probably do with ease, or I expected I would do with ease. But they didn't go as planned, and they won't always go as planned. That's the reality of it. But it's changed my approach to the new year. It's changed how I'm looking about focusing on the new year. And basically what I said before, if I break it back down into just 5 little points here, just to make it a little more simple for you, is start with a vision and break it down into smaller goals. Focus on your own goals, not others' expectations. Be realistic and be patient. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and use setbacks as opportunities for growth. Now, with these points, with these little areas that we've just spoken about, technically, I hope you're ready to rock and roll into the new year. And you should be able to hit the ground running and give yourself some momentum now, right? And I've been, working over the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks actually. 6 weeks will be the end of this week coming up. And just to really just get myself ready for what I want in the new year. And these are some of the steps that I've been really focusing on in ensuring that I can get the head start into the new year. The new year doesn't start, on the 1st of Jan. It starts when you're ready to start. So if that means you're 90 days in and you haven't really got any momentum happening, well, that's when you're starting. So the best opportunity for you is to build that momentum now before the new year starts. And I'm not here about telling you have to be bigger and better and awesome and, the top or the 1% or anything like that. I just want you to realize that if you want something, you don't have to wait to a new year. You don't have to wait to set goals. You can start today. That's the beauty of it. But the beauty of a new year is you get to leverage, a mindset or a psychology that helps you just move quicker. You build some momentum because other people are doing it. You become motivated. You become inspired. You can start today and get ready to rock and roll for 2023 or whatever new year it is at the time of you listening to this. So that really is the wrap of the podcast for the Further Your Lifestyle podcast for 2022. I hope you've enjoyed this year and all the episodes. I've had a ball. I've learned a lot of new things in terms of, how I like to have these conversations. If I reflect back to 2021, when I started this podcast, we were doing a lot of guest interviews, and I had a lot of feedback at the end of that year that they did enjoy, or you did enjoy, a lot of the listeners enjoyed single episodes, solo episodes with myself, not with guests. And I do enjoy doing the guest ones, and I want to make sure I bring some more guests back next year as well, but there'll be some more solo episodes, of course, and I'm working on a few different things to see if I can interact and make it that one step even closer to being a bit more personable with you guys, because at the end of the day, I like to have the conversation with you, but a conversation is two-sided. So if I can, get that interaction, whether it's, through different mediums or forms, I'd be 100% grateful for that, of course, and I think it will help elevate the podcast a little bit. Now, before we wrap up, before you go, I would love to encourage you to leave a comment with something that you've just taken away from this episode. If you've been left with some conviction of maybe what you want to do next year, or where you want to be more consistent, maybe you want to start doing something, or maybe you simply just want to spend more time with your loved ones, chuck a comment below on Instagram or on YouTube. If you are watching here as part of the YouTube, you can jump straight down into the comments. If you are listening to this, jump over to Instagram and you'll be able to find a post of this episode, episode 93, and you can jump in there and just leave a comment. Or you can send me a message and let me know, and I'm more than happy to keep that to myself, and I won't have to tell anyone. But, I do want to hear from you, and that's coming back to having that conversation with you as well. And of course, I would also appreciate if you could share this episode with someone. If you think that they could really resonate with this, or maybe it can help them level up or get them to a new operating level or a new mindset going into the new year, then please, I would appreciate it gratefully. Otherwise, before we wrap up, enjoy the coming weeks over Christmas and over the New Year's, and, take some time to rest, take some time to relax, and, as we spoke before about reflecting on what the year has been, but also thinking about where you want the year to go coming into the new year. I'm excited. We will be taking a week off, so there'll be no episode on Christmas Day, which is the Sunday for this year, and I'll be back here to kick off the new year on the 1st of January 2023, which will be a Sunday, which is when we drop a new episode at 9 a.m. on the podcast, which is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those great places. I do appreciate you tuning in for another year 2 of the Further Your Lifestyle podcast. It absolutely means the world to me. So thank you for listening, and you have a wonderful day. Cheers. Now, if you didn't know, we do have the podcast merch, and this is with a key focus of enamel pins. Now, if you haven't checked these out, make sure you do, because the intent of these are really just to be a small token and a reminder for you to charge on, to push on, and to further your lifestyle. Whether it is a gift for someone else to encourage them, or maybe to inspire them, or maybe it's a way to motivate yourself, or you can simply just make a purchase to simply support the podcast, which would be greatly appreciated. We do also have some sweaters and some long tees, so make sure you check it out. Link in the description and in the show notes. Really do appreciate it. Cheers.